the greatest city in Christendom, died on a Tuesday, May 29th, 1453. At 1:30 a.m., the final assault began. By 8 a.m., Emperor Constantine XI Palaiologos lay dead somewhere beneath the Theodosian walls, his body never identified, his purple robes stripped by looters. The city that had stood for 1123 years, the seat of Roman emperors, the guardian of Christian relics, the bridge between antiquity and the modern world, was erased in 7 hours. Sultan Mehmed II rode through the Hagia Sophia at noon. He was 21 years old. He touched the altar, where Byzantine emperors had been crowned for a millennium, and he smiled. He had earned a title that day. Fatih, the Conqueror. Now it is 1456. Mehmed is 24. He has spent 3 years consolidating his conquest, rebuilding his navy, and forging new weapons. He has sworn an oath to his court. The crescent banner will fly over every church from the Bosphorus to the Rhine. Constantinople was the appetizer. Europe is the meal. The first course is Belgrade. Before we begin, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and subscribe to Narrate Hist Arena, the geography of doom. Belgrade sits on a granite promontory where 3 rivers merge, the Danube, the Sava, and the smaller Topsider stream. Whoever controls Belgrade controls the only viable invasion route into the Hungarian plain. Beyond Hungary lies Austria. Beyond Austria lies the soft, fractured belly of the Holy Roman Empire. Every strategist in Europe understands this. Every king understands this. Yet none of them send soldiers. The Holy Roman Emperor Frederick III is fighting his own nobles. France is exhausted from the 100 Years' War. The Italian city-states are too busy undercutting each other's trade. Pope Calixtus III issues bulls and prayers and passionate appeals. The courts of Europe respond with silence. Belgrade will fight alone. The Ottoman army arrives on July 4th, 1456, at approximately 6 a.m. The column takes 4 hours to deploy across the plains south of the city. Contemporary chroniclers struggle to count them. Estimates range from 60,000 to 100,000 men. The most reliable sources suggest 70,000 combat troops, supported by 300 artillery pieces and a river fleet of 200 vessels. The defenders number fewer than 7,000 professional soldiers inside the walls. The garrison is Hungarian, Croatian, and Serbian, men who have been fighting Ottoman incursions for decades. They are experienced. They are also outnumbered 10-1. Their commander is John Hunyadi. He is 68 years old. Here is white. His armor is scarred from a lifetime of border warfare. He has defeated Ottoman armies before. At Nis in 1443, at the Iron Gates in 1442, but he has never faced the full might of the empire. He has never faced Fatih. Beside him stands an unlikely ally, Giovanni da Capistrano, a 70-year-old Franciscan friar from Italy. Capistrano has spent months traveling across Europe, preaching holy war in town squares and village churches. He has gathered an army of his own, perhaps 30,000 peasants, farmers, craftsmen and beggars who have answered the call of the cross. They carry wooden clubs. They carry farm implements. Most have never held a sword. They believe God will make up the difference. July 4th, 1456. 14 hours. The first cannon fires at 2 in the afternoon. The sound rolls across the river valley like thunder from a clear sky. Inside Belgrade, horses rear in panic. Children scream. Dogs howl. Ottoman siege doctrine in the 15th century was the most advanced in the world. Their engineers understood trajectory, muzzle velocity, and the structural weaknesses of medieval fortification. They positioned their batteries in crescent formations to create overlapping fields of fire. They rotated gun crews every 4 hours to maintain continuous bombardment. The largest weapon in the Ottoman arsenal was the Great Bombard, a monster cannon cast in bronze, capable of hurling stone balls weighing 600 kilograms. It had shattered the Theodosian walls of Constantinople. Now it pointed at Belgrade. For the next 17 days, the bombardment never stops. July 14th, 1456. 3:47 a.m. The outer walls collapse. A section near the Watergate, 40 feet of limestone and mortar, slides into the Danube in a cascade of dust and debris. Ottoman observers cheer from their trenches. Inside the city, Hunyadi does not sleep. He moves from breach to breach, directing repairs by torchlight. His engineers work through the night, packing rubble into gaps, reinforcing weak points with timber and earth. They cannot rebuild the walls. They can only slow the inevitable. But something strange is happening. The peasant crusaders, the rabble that professional soldiers dismissed as useless, are proving essential. They dig trenches. They carry stones. They work 18-hour shifts without complaint. Capistrano walks among them, his crucifix raised, his voice hoarse from preaching. Every stone you carry is a prayer, he tells them. Every hour you hold is a miracle. They believe him. They have nothing else to believe. July 20th, 1456. 21 hours. The night before the final assault. Mehmed holds a war council in his pavilion. His generals report that the walls are breached in 7 places. The defenders are starving. The water supply is contaminated. Victory is certain. Mehmed issues his orders. The Janissaries will lead the assault at dawn. The city is to be taken by noon. He retires early, confident. Across the river, Hunyadi holds his own council. The situation is hopeless. He says so openly. We cannot hold the walls, he tells his captains. We do not have the men. We do not have the ammunition. We do not have time. He pauses. The room is silent. This is the omission. The thing he does not say. He does not say, we will surrender. He does not say, we will retreat. What we have, Hunyadi continues, is a choice. We can die hiding behind rubble, or we can die making them pay for every inch. He looks at Capistrano. The old monk nods. We attack. This is the decision that defies military logic. A garrison outnumbered 10 to 1, starving, exhausted, low on ammunition, choosing to launch an offensive operation. It violates every principle of defensive warfare. It is also the only option that offers any chance of survival. Hunyadi understands siege psychology. An army that only defends eventually breaks. An army that attacks, even suicidally, maintains the initiative. It forces the enemy to react rather than dictate. The decision is made. The counterattack will begin at dawn. July 21st, 1456. 5 hours. The Ottoman drums begin in darkness. Tens of thousands of voices chant in unison. The sound is designed to terrify, and it works. On the walls, young soldiers vomit from fear. At 6 hours, the Janissaries advance. They move in disciplined columns, their white felt caps bobbing in the pre-dawn gloom. They carry scaling ladders, grappling hooks, and short swords designed for close quarters killing. Behind them, irregular infantry waits to exploit any breakthrough. The Janissaries reach the breaches at 6:14 hours. The fighting is immediate and savage. Ottoman soldiers pour through the gaps in the walls. The defenders meet them with everything they have: arrows, boiling water, stones dropped from above. The peasant crusaders fight with clubs and kitchen knives. They die in droves, but they do not run. By 9 hours, the Ottomans control a third of the city. The inner citadel is surrounded. Mehmed rides to a hill overlooking the battlefield to watch the final collapse. He never sees it coming. July 21st, 1456. 14 hours. At 2 in the afternoon, Capistrano gathers every peasant who can still walk. Perhaps 8,000 men. He raises his crucifix above his head and marches toward the breaches. Not backward, forward. They charge into the Ottoman-held sectors of the city, screaming prayers, swinging their crude weapons. It is tactically insane. It should be a massacre. Instead, it is a shock. The Janissaries, expecting desperate defense, are unprepared for a frontal assault by an army of farmers. They hesitate. Units that have fought with perfect discipline for hours suddenly falter. Hunyadi sees the opening at 14:12 hours. He gathers his remaining cavalry, fewer than 500 knights, and orders them to mount. "We ride through the water gate breach," he commands. "We hit their flank while they're focused on the peasants. A captain objects, we'll be cut off. There's no retreat." Hunyadi smiles for the first time in weeks. "I'm 68 years old. I wasn't planning to retreat." The cavalry charges at 14:20 hours. They smash into the Ottoman formations from an unexpected angle, scattering units that have never experienced cavalry assault from inside a city they were supposed to be conquering. At 14:47 hours, Sultan Mehmed himself rides forward to rally his troops. His personal guard, 3,000 elite soldiers, surrounds him as he enters the combat zone. At 14:52 hours, an arrow strikes the Sultan in the thigh. July 21st, 1456. 15 hours. The sight of their Sultan wounded breaks something fundamental in the Ottoman army. Panic spreads faster than fire. Units that held firm for 17 days dissolve in minutes. The Janissaries retreat. Then they run. The irregulars throw down their weapons and flee toward the river. The Ottoman fleet, seeing the chaos, cuts anchor and sails south in disorder. Hunyadi orders pursuit. The defenders pour out of Belgrade. Soldiers, peasants, wounded men who can barely walk, and charge into the Ottoman camp. At 15:30, 4 hours, the powder magazines ignite. The explosion is visible from 50 miles away. A column of fire rises into the sky. The Ottoman siege train, 300 cannon, including the great bombard, is consumed in the inferno. Thousands of soldiers die in seconds. By sunset, it is over. The army that darkened the horizon is gone. Estimates of Ottoman dead range from 15,000 to 25,000. The siege equipment is destroyed. The fleet is scattered. Belgrade stands. August to October, 1456. Victory is not free. Hunyadi contracts plague from the corpses rotting in the summer heat. He dies on August 11th, 1456, 3 weeks after his greatest triumph. Capistrano follows him on October 23rd, his body broken by exhaustion and illness. Neither man lived to see the full impact of their sacrifice. The Siege of Belgrade halted Ottoman expansion into Central Europe for 70 years. Mehmed II never again attempted a major invasion of Hungary. The psychological impact of the defeat, the invincible conqueror wounded and fleeing, shattered the myth of Ottoman inevitability. Pope Calixtus III issued a papal bull ordering church bells to ring at noon every day, forever to commemorate the victory. That tradition continues in many Catholic communities to this day. The Siege of Belgrade teaches a truth that empires prefer to forget. Walls can be broken, but will cannot be calculated. Mehmed had superior numbers, superior firepower, superior training. He had conquered the unconquerable city. He had mathematics on his side. What he did not have was an answer for 2 old men, one a soldier, one a monk, who refused to accept the numbers. John Hunyadi died at 68. Giovanni Capistrano died at 70. They were buried as heroes. They would have rejected the title. They were simply men who understood that some gates must be held, that some darkness must be stopped, that sometimes the only way to survive is to stop calculating odds and start counting on something the enemy cannot measure. Faith, fury, the refusal to kneel. The bells still ring at noon. They ring for the 6,000 who stood against 80,000. They ring for the old soldier and the old monk. They ring to remind us that history is not written by the powerful. It is written by those who refuse to break. This is Narrate Hist Arena, where the past still rides. If you haven't subscribed yet, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you on the next one.